Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have a king representing the state of Florida. This guy is potentially a living legend. We have a guest in honor and pleasures hearing from Sam Khorramian. Is a high-energy serial entrepreneur, international speaker, and internet marketer that's helped countless people grow and start their business. Sam has been in the real estate industry for over 12 years and has been involved in all sides of the business. Sam keeps Big Rock Realty and its agents at the forefront of marketing technology and specializes in brand development, website traffic growth, automated systems, social media management, web design, SEO, PPC, and creative advertising. An international speaker, leading internet marketer, and real estate expert specializing in setting up his students, clients, and partners for massive success. Sam has dedicated his life to helping ordinary people live extraordinary lives. Knowing that this is his true purpose, he has spent years studying what makes people successful and how he can translate that to helping others achieve ultimate success. Sam has a professional attitude and demeanor with all his team members as well as his clients and partners. Their needs are the most important thing, and he goes above and beyond to make sure that they are poised to succeed every day. There is no problem too big. In fact, he thrives on challenges. This serves his companies and students because there is no deal that he can't handle, or plateau he can't help someone break through. His failure is never an option type attitude is that a type of a true leader. His specialty is international speaker, internet marketing, social media, branding and identity, business growth, real estate investing, and he's also a motivator. Everyone, please give it up for Sam.
What's going on?
How you feeling today, man? Another day,
I'm doing great.
Another day in paradise.
Hey, thank you for that great introduction. I don't know where you got it. That was I haven't heard that bio in a while, but it's a good one. So thank you for the great introduction.
Nah, you're most welcome, Sam. You're most welcome. So you've been in real estate pretty shortly, and you're probably one of the biggest mega teams in California. Can you speak to the folks how you're able to scale up and just grow that quick, please?
Yeah, so we started the company. You know, I always say I was a couple of noodles broke when I did it, when we started the company, and you know, I focused on the things that to me really drive any business, and in no particular order. Number one is always focusing on creating a wow customer experience, something that's remarkable. And I don't know that people really understand what remarkable means, but the definition of it is worthy of remark. And when you create an experience for your clients and your customers that makes it worthy of remark, then that helps you, you know, have unpredictable, you can't quantify it, but helps you have more organic growth. So number one is really focused on putting our agents, who we look at as our customers, and their best interests first. Number two is I'm a big believer that sales and marketing solve all problems in all businesses. So we, you know, spent a lot of our energy on straight just calling, picking up the phone and introducing other agents to a model that was at the time very different and very new, and that helped us.
Apologies.
No problem. That helped us grow very quickly to third year into the business. We were the 26th fastest growing company in the country on the Inc. 500 list. And then the following year, number 31, and then the following year, number 33, and then number 56. And all of that has led us today to a business that does about $4 billion a year in sales. And, you know, one of the top, I think, 80 largest real estate brokerages in the country. So, you know, focusing on the customer and you know, being very intentional with the fact that sales and marketing solves all problems, helped us achieve a lot of success.
No, it makes total sense, Sam. Makes total sense. But what was your turning point in your career journey in real estate where you realized, like, your eyes opened up and you're like, this market share is mine? Like, you just saw when did you realize, like, you hit that, you broke your plateau and you were just going to see exponential growth?
Yeah. You know, I feel like the best way to answer that is one of my mottos in life is I'm always grateful but never satisfied. So to me, you know, I knew that we were onto something when we hit that Inc. 500 list. That was always one of my biggest goals as an entrepreneur, is one day end up somewhere on that list. I don't care if it was number 5,000. I just knew that's where I wanted to be. So we applied, and when you apply and you make the list, all they do is they tell you you made the list. They don't tell you where until the publication comes out. So when we opened up our little congratulations package and saw that we were number 26, that was probably one of the highlights of my career as an entrepreneur and as a business person. And that gave me a lot of belief, and motivated me to just keep doubling down on what we're doing. The reality is, dude, like, I don't think that any real successful person can avoid the reality of imposter syndrome, right? Like I'm always, still to this day, struggling with imposter syndrome, but that's a great thing because it makes me want to prove myself right. It makes me want to continue to prove to myself that I can hit the next level, the next stage, whatever it may be. So, that and just seeing the organic growth inside of the company started to really make me believe and have the confidence that we're building something special.
No, I completely get it, Sam. Completely get it. Besides the imposter thing, is there any other piece of advice you wish you had received earlier in your career that you think could have just changed your whole trajectory, been another catalyst to your growth?
Yeah. To me, we've all heard it. So I'm not going to say something that you haven't heard before, but believing it and acting as if this is true is really important, which is, it's always harder. It always takes longer, and it always is more frustrating to reach your goals than you ever thought. And I just that earlier on, I probably, if I was more real with that, I think that I would have moved faster and been able to quiet the noise. Because look, like, I'm not embarrassed to say that from back then all the way to today, I still struggle with anxiety. I still struggle with, forms of depression and like feeling, concerned, scared, unsatisfied. All these things are real. And I think that a lot of people, they buy into this false narrative that as soon as I achieve X, as soon as I get there, whatever there is for them, that the anxiety is going to stop, that the pressure is going to be relieved. But the reality is it never goes away. You just learn to get more comfortable with it. So that's number one. Number two, my friends, they all went to college and they were working on becoming doctors, attorneys, etc. I only went to college for one semester and quickly jumped into going to masterminds and seminars and hiring coaches. And I'm glad I did that. And, I would do the same thing all over again. And in fact, that's how I plan on raising my kids. But I wish that I would have been more coachable when I first started, right? I wish that I would have literally followed the path that was laid out in front of me instead of trying to take the shortcuts. And I think that foundation early on would have really propelled quicker growth, and we'd probably be somewhere even further than we are today. But fighting that inner demon, so to speak, the anxiety, the depression, the imposter syndrome, as well as being coachable, to me is the foundation of success. And I'll add one other thing to that, which is I'm a big believer that your success starts and ends with the environment you put yourself in. So, we've always heard that you are the common denominator of the 5 people you hang out with most. And when you put yourself in a room, in a mastermind with people that are achieving just incredible things, you start to look at challenges differently. You start to count differently. You start to look at the opportunities that are out there differently. I just wish that I earlier on would have been more real with the power that these environments and these coaches and these masterminds truly brought to myself as a leader and as an entrepreneur.
No, it makes total sense, Sam. No, you really are. That cliches are cliches for a reason, ladies and gentlemen. This is a gentleman who's done 30 billion in sales, and you look at, and he still sounds like a normal human. To be completely honest with you, Sam, if you weren't in real estate, like, have you ever been like driving or like watching some television or on your phone, like, maybe if I wasn't in real estate, I'd be doing something else? Like, have you ever realized what other career you would have done if it wasn't real estate?
Yeah, I think any true entrepreneur has, the shiny object syndrome, which is, man, maybe I could have done this, maybe I could have done that. But I'll tell you, if I was to be able to like wave a magic wand and be anything, for me, it's always been like a rock star, like being on stage, being on stage with, 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 people singing your songs and, inspiring people through music. I always thought that would be a very fun and exciting life. And obviously you can make a lot of money doing it. But I was able to kind of scratch that itch when I got into the world of speaking, being on stage and motivating people, inspiring people, helping change people's lives, has kind of scratched that itch for me. So, I always say that when your head is on straight and you're working hard, opportunity is never the challenge, right? You're always going to find opportunity as long as you have that perspective on.
Yeah, no, you're totally right on that. If you could change one thing about the real estate industry, what would it be and why?
Man, that's tough. I'd say the first thing that comes to mind is it's a double-edged sword. So I'm going to be transparent and give that disclosure before I say this. But it's the regulatory involvements in any industry, I think, kind of reduce or slow down the opportunity for someone to be innovative and try things differently. But at the same time, look, in real estate, it's a big deal. We're helping people with the biggest purchase of their life, and it's important to have boundaries. It's important to have rules. So I'm not by any means suggesting I wish this was the wild, wild west, because that would be a whole nother slew of problems. But I think that, if the business was less litigious and less regulatory and in the ways that would benefit progress and innovation, I think that would be pretty cool.
No, you're totally right. You're not the first person to mention this regulatory thing. Sometimes the rules do hinder some business owners, I would say.
Yeah.
When what they want to achieve, because sometimes you just have to go through some hurdles or hoops. And what's the most courageous decision you've made recently, and how did it impact you? And can you maybe is this Shoply, or what would you say recently?
Most courageous decision. I'd say right now, what we decided to do in terms of growing the brokerage is we want to go national, and we want to eventually go public.
No.
Yeah. So I'm in the process right now. I do a lot of M&A, and I teach M&A, mergers and acquisitions. So right now we're kind of pedal to the metal on working through the idea of how can we acquire more real estate brokerages with creative financing, right? You can buy businesses without having to have millions of dollars in the bank. There's a lot of creative strategies and ways that you can structure deals. It's the law of price and terms. So I'm really passionate and a bit scared of the path that we're on, because it's big, and so yeah, I think that's probably the most courageous thing, is setting up the company to ultimately get ready to potentially do an IPO next few years. And that not only involves thinking big and swinging the bat really hard, but also for me, it put me in a position where I had to take myself off of the day-to-day org chart and empower people inside the organization to ultimately run the day-to-day, so that I can go focus on tomorrow, focus on working above the business as opposed to in or on the business. So that, that takes a lot of courage to ultimately remove yourself from the day-to-day of the organization that you've built, so that you can focus on the tomorrow.
No, you're totally right. Yeah, because you're literally purebred entrepreneur, because you want to do everything yourself, but you have to realize the way to really take 10x, you have to learn how to delegate and just have trust in everybody running the show while you focus on your activities that are going to produce a higher ROI. But that's hilarious. You are a true purebred entrepreneur. And then, what's the next big thing we should expect in real estate, and how are you contributing to it? Like, how are you getting ready for this August 17th rule?
Let me say this. I believe that naturally, I don't think any brokerage, any broker, any agent really agrees with how this all went down. But it is what it is. And we have to learn one important thing, that every challenge creates an opportunity. And as long as we choose to find the positive in negative situations, I believe that really inspires innovation. It inspires your ability to kind of think laterally. So, I think that there's a lot of things that this will open up as opportunity for people, and everything from the lending side. Like I imagine that a mortgage company would be smart to say, hey, if a seller's not going to pay the buyer agent commission, and the buyer can't afford to pay an agent, yet most purchase loans are driven through agent introductions to mortgage companies. So, I think that we'll see mortgage companies start to support the qualification and the ratios of a loan, LTV, DTI, to allow for an extra couple of points to pay the buyer agent. So I think we might see some stuff like that. Internally, we're working on ways to help our agents create more revenue outside of just the real estate commission. There's a lot of products and services that agents have the ability to introduce to their clients. And these are non-RESPA regulated stuff. So I'm not talking mortgage or escrow, title, any of that. But, every time someone buys a house, do you think they might be buying some furniture? Do you think they might be buying some cleaning supplies? Do you think they might install solar? There's so many different businesses that create commerce on the backside of a real estate transaction. And if we can help the agent kind of be a part of that process, that really excites me. The idea that we can help agents really start to monetize their business in other fashions.
No, that's not you. You bring up a great point, Sam. Even mortgage protection, you can get your agent selling mortgage protection in the future. But you're totally right. The fact that you can understand human behavior, and like the fact that you're like, if you can reverse engineer the human behavior and how to over deliver on providing other services while giving the real estate experience, dude, you're off to the races. Your IPO is going to be an exquisite one. And then you don't have to answer this, but how do you handle criticism or negative feedback about your work if it's ever occurred?
Oh man, let me tell you something. If you're not getting criticism, negative feedback, respectfully, you're probably not doing anything of much significance. So I'm a big believer that, one of my sayings is, my haters are my motivators. Like, you don't hate on something that isn't a bit polarizing, isn't getting traction. Like, to me, I use it as fuel. Yes, does it sometimes hurt my feelings, maybe spike my anxiety or spike my imposter syndrome? Yes. But, I saw a study in one of the masterminds I was in a few years ago that said for anything to go viral, or like even a song to become a Billboard hit, I forget the exact numbers, but something like 60% of people have to love it, 30% of people have to hate it, and 10% of people have to not give a damn about it. So when you understand that you need the criticism, you need the haters to really build that viral coefficient to help you build something that's greater than you can do on your own. Once you understand that, then you can choose to look at it as that means you're doing a good job, right? Pat yourself on the back. But also, like, I don't want to discount the fact that, yeah, it'll get you down, and sometimes it'll mess with your brain, and that's okay. Allow yourself 5, 10, 15 minutes to simmer in the sorrow and the frustration of what you might be dealing with. But then remind yourself, shame on me if I allow it to stop me. Because remember this, the moment that we allow someone else's opinion of what we're doing determine what we do and where we're going, we're never going to win. You can't let other people's opinion of what you're doing dictate your success and your outcome.
No, you're completely right on that, Sam. You're completely right. And the law of numbers state, I don't know if you know the law of numbers, but the law of numbers state 25% of people are going to love you no matter what you say or do. 25% of people are going to hate you, even if you have like the most perfect pitch or user experience. It's the other 50% that's up to you whether you can influence or persuade. So I totally get it. Like you can never please everybody. There's always going to be that one critic that's going to say that's it. But if you could have switching gears a little bit, if you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would it be and why?
Whew, that's tough.
You can name 2 or 3 if it's easier on you.
I think it'd be really, really cool to have dinner with Einstein.
Genius.
Yeah, he's very intriguing. For sure, Elon Musk. Elon Musk to me, he reminds me of me when I was young and naive. What I mean by that is, when you're young, like, you believe you could do anything. You believe you can invent anything. Your brain is so wide open. And as you get older, you get less and less naive, and you get more real. But what he's able to do with all of his different businesses and projects, he's defying a lot of what people believe to be factual. So I think just being able to pick that guy's brain would be phenomenal. And then I'd say lastly, just because he was my idol growing up, Michael Jordan would be a fun person to just have on the list.
Nah, of course. No, Jordan's the man. He definitely lives for that adrenaline rush. Like there's no better feeling than having an adrenaline rush, I feel like, with Jordan. No, those are 3 great picks. Those are like you get everybody on the spectrum, I feel like. And then what's the story behind your most memorable success and failure, would you say?
Oh man. I'd say my most memorable success in business, landing on the Inc. 500 list at number 26. I mean, that was a highlight of my life for sure. My most memorable failure, I've had a lot of failures, way more than I've had successes.
Sam?
I'd say years before I started BitBlock, I was just going from failure to failure. And I remember sitting in the car, calling my mom, crying my eyes out, and saying to her, man, I always thought that I was going to be successful, and maybe this successful thing, being successful and rich, maybe that's just not for me. Maybe it's not in my cards. And naturally, being a good mom, she talked me off the ledge, so to speak. And I remember never wanting to feel that way again. So anytime I start to feel like I'm failing, I always go back to my core principles where, if I focus on the customer, if I focus on sales, on marketing, if I put myself in the right room with the right people, that can help me get my head on straight.
You're totally right. No, I'm glad you have your mother. I feel like you do need somebody in your corner, like giving you that reassurance or reinforcement that your visions are manifestable, and all you have to do is just execute and be patient with the process.
And sometimes it's not even someone in your life, right? Maybe you have to pay for that, right? Like I made a video years ago saying that I pay for my friends, and half the people loved it, half the people hated it. But it's true. Like, I paid to a lot of money to be in masterminds with really smart people. I paid a lot of money to have coaches like Mike Ferry personally coaching me, and yes, I had to pay for that. But those people, they can be your motivator. And more importantly, it's important to remember that when you achieve anything of great significance, there's always going to be people with advice, and then there's going to be people with counsel. Advice, everybody has advice, right? They'll tell you why it won't work. They'll tell you why you're going to fail. They're going to tell you why your idea is bad. All the reasons people won't like it. But counsel is different, because counsel is seeking counsel from someone that's already been where you want to be. And they tell you all the reasons it will work, and they'll tell you all the ways to make it work. And I think the best way to look at that is like, I always say a co-pilot. And the reason I say co-pilot is because I'm sure most of us have some sort of feelings, anxiety when we get on a plane. We're putting our lives 30, 40,000 feet in the air in someone else's hands. But why do we do it? We do it because the pilot has the exact same desired outcome as you do, which is land at your destination alive. And that's the difference for me between advice and counsel. Counsel's been where you want to be. They've done it. They've landed the plane many times, and they have the same exact desired outcome. Make it work and help you get there, and help you get there alive with the least amount of brain damage, the least amount of friction. So yeah, find yourself a co-pilot, and sometimes you need to pay for it, and that's okay.
No, you're totally right, Sam. It's totally right. But the fact that someone can help you have that blind faith, sometimes you just need like blind faith, and anything becomes possible. So I totally get what you're saying here. And then, what's the biggest lesson you've learned in your career so far?
The biggest lesson I've learned in my career. I'm probably just going to go back to what I said earlier, which is it's always harder, always takes longer, always costs more money, always more challenges than you expect it to have. And that, that's a good thing, because we've heard this before. If it was easy, everyone would be there, right? Everyone would be successful. So when you're facing challenges, or when your goals are taking longer to achieve, that just means that you're exactly where you're supposed to be, as long as you don't stop. See, because I remind myself all the time, when I'm feeling the pain, the pressure, the anxiety, when it's really tough, when I feel like I'm failing, I remind myself that's where my competition stops. That's where everyone else stops. So I have the choice to be like everyone else that gave up on their dreams, gave up on their goals, or I can be the special type of crazy person that decides to put my head down and just keep working in spite of it, right? So, to me, we've always heard that success is 80, 90% mindset. And I 100% agree with that. And when I say mindset, I think a lot of people say, oh, if I read the book The Secret, and I just stay motivated, and I watch positive YouTubes, and I listen to awesome podcasts like this, like that'll help my mindset. Yes. But to me, mindset is when your mind is set My mind is set that I'm not going to stop until I get there. My mind is set that I'm not going to let obstacles stop me. My mind is set that, yes, I'm going to have failures and challenges and I'm going to keep going. So when your mind is set, to me, that's the strongest mindset you can have.
And I told you, Sam, you got that tenacity. You have that drive, that ambition. That it's literally it's either now or never. Like literally, there's no in between with you. Like it's either you fully execute on an idea or you don't. So like that's really what it comes down to in life, really, to be honest with you. And then, what's the most challenging aspect of being in your role in today's world? Would you say?
I think the most challenging part of being a leader is, there's a lot. But, for one, you have to remember that your team is always watching. And even if you don't know how the hell you're going to figure out the problem you're facing, you have to be able to, at least in front of the team, be positive and have that smile and lead with inspiration and motivation and belief. That's a challenge. It's tough. It's also, it's tough to, in your journey, you're going to have people that you thought were, in your corner and were there to support you and ride with you forever. And a lot of times you'll find that those people end up turning on you or end up, wishing harm upon you or, kind of ultimately being a hater. And it's important to remember that they were in your life at that time for a need and for a moment. But it doesn't mean that they're always going to be in your life for, forever. And, I saw a video once that, I think it was a pastor. He was saying, look, they helped you get to where you are the same way when a rocket goes up in the air, it's that I don't know what they call it, the fuel tank that shoots the fire out that gets it up into orbit. And then eventually it disconnects from that and it continues on its journey. And what fueled it to get to where it is no longer of service. It's only going to slow it down. So the same way a rocket ship has to sometimes get comfortable or real with the fact that it has to let go of baggage and you're going to lose some friends and you're going to have people turn on you. That to me is the hardest. I can't tell you how many people that I've considered pretty much family that we just ended up going our separate ways and it hurts and you get really offended. But they serve their purpose in your life and they're going to go do what they're going to do. And you got to stay on track and be the rocket ship that keeps on moving.
Dude, that is one of the most brilliant things I ever heard, Sam. I'm not going to lie to you. Oh, God.
I wish I could take credit for it, but thank you.
No, that was like a serious gem right there. I'm definitely going to mini clip that up. And then what do you think is the key to maintaining a work-life balance? How do you apply it in your life?
Oh, man. I don't believe balance exists. I think balance is, are we allowed to say bad words on this thing?
Yeah, my CEO says bad words all the time on this. Right. Said it all the time on this.
I think balance is bullshit. Balance and broke both start with B. But I do believe in sacrifice. This is what I mean. When I'm on the road or I'm missing dinner or first couple years of my son being alive, I legit was not in town for his birthday. That I'm not quote unquote proud of that, but sometimes you have to sacrifice being a good family man or family person in order to be a good business person. And other times you sacrifice being a good business person in order to be a good family person. So, last month, my family and I went to Europe for a month, and I didn't work barely at all. Yes, I had a few calls here and there, but that month I sacrificed being a good business person in order to go create memories and experiences and be a good family person. So I think that being real with the fact that if you're trying to balance both at the same time, you're never going to find balance. You can't. But you can get comfortable with sacrifice, right? Like sometimes you're going to sacrifice being a good business person, and sometimes you're going to sacrifice being a good family person. And that's as simple as now, like when I disconnect for the day, I put my phone on, even if it's at 4 or 5 o'clock, I put my phone on do not disturb. I put it on the counter, and I'm present with my kids, present with my wife. But if I'm working, that means I'm not present with them. So I think the answer is I don't believe in balance, but I do believe in sacrifice.
No, you're totally right, Sam. You're totally right. No, but I think I think I just want to know people that sometimes the priceless memories are worth more with your family. Only because an old man one time looked me dead in the eye and told me $1 billion is not much when you're talking trillions. And then I realized 1% of a trillion is 10 billion. So if you're talking anything under 10 billion, it makes sense to chase happiness. And then what's the legacy you hope to leave behind your work?
Say that one more time.
What's the legacy you hope to leave behind your work?
The opportunity of possibility. I want nothing more than for my kids, not to be proud of what I've accomplished, but to say, man, if dad could do those things, then so can I. I think every parent wants a better life for their kids than they had. And I had a great life. I'm very blessed. Great parents, great upbringing, like there's people that have had much, much worse upbringings than I did. But I'd love to just, my legacy to be the idea that anything is achievable. And I want my kids, my son right now, he's 9 years old and he's 100% convinced he's going to be in the NBA. And I'm 100% committed and convinced with him, So like, I want that to be my legacy is, for the people that I impact to believe that they can make things happen, that things are possible, even when your back is against the wall and it feels like the world is crumbling in on you, which it will more than you like. Everybody has that in some shape or form at their life, and oftentimes more than we'd like. So for me, it would be that.
No, of course. And touching on that, your son going to the NBA, I'm sure you can get any coach to help him go to a D1 college. But getting him to the NBA, there's probably only a handful of coaches in the world that could really like hone his craft and just make him be one of the most elite of the most elite. So if you can help him get like one of the best coaches, like you invested in yourself, you would have to invest in him to get like one of the 100%. Best coaches in the world. It can be done. You just have to find the right one that sees the potential in him. And then 100%. Who or what influences you the most in your work besides your family, would you say? Or is it just your family?
Who inspires me the most?
Or influences you the most in your work? Mm-hmm.
Man, I mean, so many people outside of my family, obviously my parents, my wife, my kids, etc. But I'd say if I was to pick a singular person that has had the most impact and inspiration on my life, I'd have to narrow it down to two. One was Mike Ferry. I had the great fortune of finding him, when I first got into the business, and eventually ended up coaching directly with him. And that was just a phenomenal experience. And then also one of my mentors and now business partner, Roland Frazier, who is just one of the most brilliant and caring and just lateral thinkers. I mean, the guy, he's a gem. And, when I first met him, I just knew of him, and I joined a mastermind and this was earlier when I said, sometimes you have to pay for your friends. I joined his mastermind before I could afford it. just so I could have the proximity to be closer to the man. And fast forward now, I don't know what it is, 8, 9 years later, he's a business partner in multiple businesses. We run events together, we start businesses together, we buy businesses together. So, it's, I would have to say Roland Frazier and Mike Ferry.
No, wow, you really have some of the best mentors in the whole world, I would say. So it can be a small world. And what's the biggest misconception people have about you, your work, or your industry, or misunderstood?
Oh, I think the biggest misconception, I'm sure there's stuff that people think about me that I don't know. It's funny. Sometimes people say, man, so-and-so said this about you. And I'm like, damn, I didn't even know I was doing that. But point being, there's a lot, but I think what comes to mind is I'm a serial entrepreneur. I love building. I love creating. And I think that that might sometimes give people the misunderstanding that just because, today I'm talking about the work that I do at Epic Mastermind and mergers and acquisitions, that means, I'm less interested in the other things I've been doing. Or, right now I'm really excited about Shoply. And, I think that people, they have a misconception about the reason I can do so much is because I am so blessed to have so many awesome people on the team. And, my role in my organization is to be useful. And the best way for me to be useful is to, empower them so that they can empower me so that I can go do different things to help our enterprises and our businesses. So, I think that's probably the biggest misconception is, the ability to understand that when you're seeing someone put passion in one project doesn't mean they don't love the other. Like Elon Musk, I'm sure he loves SpaceX just as much as he loves Tesla, just as much as he loves X, right? And that fuels him, right? And that's what fuels me. Like, I'm a creator. I wouldn't be satisfied if internally, if I didn't do the things that my gut told me I should do. So I think that's probably it for me.
No, completely. Sam, ladies and gentlemen, some people build companies from the ground up. Others, like Sam, they build conglomerates. There's levels within levels. And Sam is literally playing at one of the highest to ever do it. So, Sam, can you just give your 30-second, 1-minute pitch to Shoply, please? I'm pretty sure when people hear this, they're not even going to know. They're still not even going to know about it. What's the pitch for Shoply? The 30-second to 1-minute pitch, so people understand.
Yeah. So it hasn't even launched yet. It launches in 2 days. But ultimately, it's decentralized e-commerce. But probably better stated, it's like a decentralized Amazon. The entire platform is driven by influencers, affiliates, marketers, people that have someone's attention, and vendors and products and services. So the entire platform is built to put the power of the commerce and the revenue back in the hands of the influencers, the affiliates, the people with attention. And there's a lot of, there's 8 different ways that you can monetize through the world of Shoply. And, if since we're on a real estate podcast, remember earlier I was saying that I believe agents should start making money off of products and services outside of the real estate commission, right?
This is one of them.
So all of a sudden now when someone buys a home, you can give your home buyer a welcome home kit. And part of that welcome home kit is a list. Maybe you call it products new home buyers love. And maybe it's cleaning supplies, maybe it's solar, whatever it is. And you give them that list of products and they go on to Shoply and they buy it. You get paid a commission for driving that attention there. and you have incentives to bring other agents or other influencers, other business people in. You even have an incentive to bring in vendors. So if I have a buddy that, has a stapler company and I help him get his staplers put onto Shoply, then for life, every time someone buys that stapler, I get paid a little override. So I love the idea of, compounding income and residual income, the idea that I could do something once and get paid for it many times over. I believe one of the biggest keys to becoming wealthy is understanding that the wealthy become wealthy because they figure out how to make more money off of the things that they're already doing. I'm going to say that one more time. The wealthy become wealthy because they figure out how to make more money off of things that they're already doing. And Shoply is the biggest, the most realist opportunity and platform for everybody. Stay-at-home moms, real estate agents, influencers, athletes, you name it, to be able to maximize their earning potential and have a lot of fun and help a lot of people along the way. So if anyone wants to learn more about it, reach out to maybe I don't know how you want them to reach out to you, but let them know how to reach out to you. And obviously you can help them learn more and get them invited to participate in this game with us.
Yeah, right. No, it's the way you pitch it. It sounds very genius, to be honest with you. And the fact that you determine the splits of when something gets sold between the person who brought in the vendor and the influencer, I think is genius too. And then, but switching gears a bit. So say a new agent comes to you right now to your brokerage. What's your advice to them for them to just take off by the end of the year or by 2025?
Oh, very, very simple. Number one is don't try to figure out how to do it on your own. I don't care if Mike Ferry's your jam or Tom Ferry or Buffini or, there's tons of real estate coaches. Find one that resonates with you and be very, 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 very coachable. That's number one. Number two is every day when you show up to the office, there's going to be someone to your left and someone to the right. Your job is to simply outperform them, outwork them. If they're making 10 calls a day, make 20. If they're making 20 calls a day, make 30. And understand that what you think is your 100%, you are always under indexing, right? Like people under index their ability, their capability so much. It's outstanding. So if you just say, hey, I'm just going to work harder, make more calls, do more outreach than anybody I see on my, in my company, you're going to win. And distract yourself from all of the noises that our industry has. I think that as great as Zillow is, I think Zillow is one of the worst things that happened to agents. Why? Because when I started, I had to learn how to go create business. I couldn't just go give Zillow $500 a month and have leads that I don't even know how to convert, right? So when you start in the business, you're already going downhill. That's the reality. You have a set period of time that you need to make this work before you run out of money and have to go back. And as a new agent, when you sign up as an agent, when you get your license, you're going downhill. That's just the reality. And you yet have not learned how to have conversations. You have not yet learned how to convert people. You don't know your scripts. You don't know your dialogue. And then you go give a company like Zillow or Realtor.com $1,000, $2,000 a month to give you leads that you don't even know how to convert, which is just speeding up you going downhill faster. Focus on the foundation, learn the dialogue, the scripts, learn how to have conversations to make people feel comfortable and confident in working with you. And the rest is, to me, the easy part.
No, Sam, I'm glad you brought this up. Like a company like Zillow in a couple of years, what's your take on a couple of years Zillow making AI bots and them trying to take market share? Don't you think it's better for like one of your agents to like become like you said, get on Shoply, try to become the influencer instead of letting an AI just get as much market share right now before an AI bot does? Are AI bots allowed onto Shoply too? Just out of curiosity.
Like to sell AI bots, I'm sure that's allowed. Here's my take on this whole: is is real estate going to turn into like Priceline, what happened to travel agents? I don't think it's going to happen in our lifetime. There's a lot of companies that have tried, they have failed, and they have not failed because of a lack of funding. They have failed because statistics show right now that people still want someone to hold their hand, a human. They want someone to make them feel comfortable and confident. This is the best decision they make for most people in their life, biggest financial decision. So no, I don't think that robots are going to take over our industry in our lifetime. Do I think that companies, platforms like Zillow will do more and more to gain market share and ultimately control the transaction with agents, as we already see them doing? Instead of selling leads, now they have them on splits, et cetera, et cetera. Yes, that's going to continue to happen. Zillow, in essence, in my opinion, is the world's biggest team. If you think about it, a team gives their agents leads, puts them on a split, and that's how it works. Zillow is doing the exact same thing. They're the world's biggest team. They have endless leads. They put agents on splits. They are the team lead. If you don't perform, you get kicked off, right? They're just running a very, 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 very big team. So no, I don't think that AI or robots are gonna take over our industry, at least not while anyone that's hearing us right now will be alive.
No, you're totally right, Sam. Nah, I think you're totally right. Having the Midas human touch is really what a consumer and borrower wants, and that's something Zillow hasn't hacked yet, because they just throw something onto a wall and see what sticks. But yeah, if you have that Midas human touch, that's really what take from the start to the finish line. And then, what are your personal goals for the next 5 to 10 years, or what's your take on the future?
My personal goals, I got a lot. So one of my always ever changing goals is I have a book of goals, and one of my goals is to have 1,000 goals in my book of goals. So I have endless goals, but I'd say, the biggest are this IPO we're working on, is at the top of the list. I really think that what we're building, and we're actually letting other real estate brokerages, independent brokerages, participate in this IPO with us. There's a lot of details around it, but I think that we're going to change a lot of lives and help a lot of people, and obviously make some pretty good money doing it. So I'd say the IPO is at the top of my list, and then on personal goals, I want to pay off parents' mortgages. I want to, like you said earlier, I want to hire LeBron James to be my son's basketball coach, right? Like, there's these things that are wild, but those are what keep me motivated when I don't feel like being motivated.
Dude, those are very audacious goals, Sam. Very audacious goals. But I truly hope you do manifest and execute in some way, shape, or form. And I'm sure you will, because you have the will. When you have the will, there is a way. And Sam, I have 2 more questions for you. I'm gonna be rewatching this when I'm 80 years old. What's one life piece of advice you want to leave with me when I'm rewatching this when I'm old?
When you're 80 years old?
Yeah.
Well, shit, by the time you're 80, good stuff I've told you is already gone. I'm going to answer it a different way. I think how do I say this? I think when you're 80, the best way to measure success is not the money, it's the love. And to me, my biggest goal in life, outside of all the financial and business stuff, is to, of all the parents in the world, I want to tell my kids I love them and kiss them more than any parent has ever said that to any kid alive in history. And I believe that when I'm 80 and 90 and, hopefully 120 before I pass, is to have a presence that's present even when I'm not present. And I think that the love and the nurturing that is my job, my duty as a parent, when I'm 80, I hope that, you'll feel like you were able to do the same thing and have, the scoreboard of love as opposed to just a scoreboard of money.
Nah, thank you for sharing that, Sam. You're totally right. Unconditional love and with the relationship with somebody can go a lot farther when you're at that age than monetization, because monetization, it really only brings pleasure, but sharing a memory with somebody, that's what actually produces happiness. And then what's your favorite book, podcast, or article that's had a significant impact on your life or work?
Oh, that's easy. Think and Grow Rich, number one. If you haven't read Think and Grow Rich, go buy it, read it every single year, no matter what. Number two is, I'm going to give you 4 books that I've had. Oh, man, there's so many. Think and Grow Rich, The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes, fantastic book. Number 3 is The 4 Disciplines of Execution. I forget the author's names. Fantastic book as a leader, as a business owner. Number 4 is The New Gold Standard, which is a book written about Ritz-Carlton and how they're able to provide remarkable world-class service to everyone that comes to their hotel. Just an amazing book if you want to create a great customer experience. And then Delivering Happiness, which was written by Tony Hsieh. He was the founder of Zappos that got acquired by Amazon. Unfortunately passed at an early age, but the guy, he knows how to create a phenomenal customer experience, and those 5 books have kind of been my guiding light.
Is Tony Hsieh really gone with us?
Yeah, he was at his house, and I don't know if it was a gas leak or something, but the house kind of blew up and he didn't get out.
That's a crazy one. He was literally he was on a different wavelength too. He was forward thinking, 5-10 years ahead of everybody in the game. I didn't know that. R.I.P. to him, man. R.I.P.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sam. Do you have any last thoughts, comments that you want to leave with the people?
I'd say, look, if you're listening to this, that means you're already doing something right. Do more of it, right? The best way to keep going and go faster is to lubricate your brain with great podcasts like this, great masterminds, great coaching. Don't ever allow yourself to buy into the narrative of the naysayers, the news, all that stuff. You are 100% in control, and everything is 100% your fault, the good and the bad. When you take ownership of that, then the opportunity of making excuses goes away. So, never stop learning, never stop educating, never stop believing, never stop goal setting. And if there's any way that I can ever support any of you, find me on Instagram, and I'm happy to be of service.
Thank you for those final words, Sam. Thank you for those final words. Ladies and gentlemen, think about it. He only gave away his Instagram. He's building a conglomerate, and he's getting ready for an IPO. So get in contact with him through Instagram or Facebook chat, or you can get in contact with me at 703-953-0034 or 202-559-5643, or my email SARAVIA@gmail.com. Ladies and gentlemen, you just heard from a king, a living legend, who's going from one state to the whole nation and potentially even global. Sam, thank you for your time today. It truly means a lot.
Thank you for having me. This was great. Keep up the good work, and hopefully we'll talk soon.
Yeah, can you stay on the call for 1 or 2 more minutes, please?
I have a call right now. Can I call you afterwards?
1,000%, Sam. 1,000%.
Cool. All right, buddy. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
You're the man.
Take care.
Likewise.
Bye-bye.
Same to you. Cheers.